Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be reviewing Coral Island version 1.1. Full disclosure, in today's video I'm going to be brutally honest about Coral Island. I know there are some of you out there who really love Coral Island, and in this video I'm going to be very brutally honest about this game and tell you guys all of my thoughts about Coral Island. But keep in mind that throughout this video I kind of feel like Tyra Banks in that infamous episode of America's Next Top Model, where she gets really upset because she was rooting for the one model to do better, and she was like, I was rooting for you, we were all rooting for you, and you messed it up. And that's kind of how I feel about Coral Island. I like the game and I really wanted to love it, and I felt like that was most of my experience as I was playing Coral Island. Like, I like the game, love the premise, and I do have fun sometimes when I'm playing Coral Island, but then every once in a while something comes up and I'm like, ugh, come on, Coral Island, you can do this. You can be one of the best farming sims. But unfortunately, for me personally, you're not quite there yet. Now, with all that in mind, let's jump into today's review of Coral Island. What is Coral Island? Well, of course, it's a farming sim, but what sets this game apart from other games is that there's a bigger focus on being nice to the environment. You're going to want to pick up trash, you're going to want to clean out the ocean, and yeah, you're going to want to be good to Mother Nature. You're probably wondering, where can you play Coral Island? Well, right now, my recommendation for you is to either A, get this game on PC, on Steam, or just don't get this game at all. The reason I say that is that right now there's a bit of drama between the developer and the publisher of this game, and that has caused some difficulties with updating the console versions of the game. Now, they were able to get a few hotfixes out by working with other teams, but yeah, everything is kind of up in the air right now, and tentatively the Switch port has been canceled. They came out and said that if you backed their Kickstarter and you had wanted a Switch download code, well, now you can switch that for a Steam code instead. So those of you who are waiting for Coral Island to come to Switch, well, yeah, you probably should stop waiting. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the gameplay. Now, the gameplay of this game is very similar to Stardew Valley. Now, if you've seen a lot of my other reviews, you'll know that I usually don't like to compare games directly to Stardew Valley, but honestly, there's so many things in Coral Island that work exactly the same way as they do in Stardew Valley that, in my opinion, it's almost a little bit ridiculous. When you go to the mines, you are going to go down 5 levels, and then you're going to have an elevator that unlocks, and you can go to the top again. As you are mining, there's going to be stone, there's going to be coal, and there's going to be different geodes that you take to the blacksmith and you break those open and you get new things. The farming is also very reminiscent of Stardew Valley. In the beginning, you're going to till the soil, plant the seeds, water them, and do that every day. Then, once you level up your farming ability, you're going to unlock sprinklers, and you can use the sprinklers to water your crops. And yeah, everything that I've said thus far basically describes both Stardew Valley and Coral Island. And the similarities between Stardew Valley and Coral Island, they don't end there. There's also a museum where every time you get a new artifact or you get a new gem, you're going to go there and put it in the museum. There's also another place where you're going to make offerings, and you're going to need very specific things, and then once you give enough offerings, then you're going to get a special thing back. So yeah, in this game they call it offerings, but it's basically just like bundles in Stardew Valley. And then, surprise, surprise, once you complete some bundles or some offerings, then you're going to open up a way to quick jump to different parts of the map. So the core gameplay of Stardew Valley and Coral Island, it's like very similar. There are some things that Coral Island does that Stardew Valley doesn't. For example, there is bug catching. And then there's one other thing that really sets Coral Island apart, and that is that you can go diving into the sea. And once you go to the sea floor, you can start to pick up trash and start to clean up the ocean. Me personally, I feel like this is one of the better aspects of Coral Island. For me, the diving aspects of Coral Island were my favorite part. Number one, because it's more of an original idea. It's something that we haven't really seen in a farming game before. At least I have never seen this aspect in a farming sim before. Also, you got a really great sense of accomplishment as you clean out the different areas and then you unlock new things. So yeah, the diving definitely gets top marks for me. However, all of the other bits, I thought they were a little bit too similar to other farming sims such as Stardew Valley. And even that being said, I feel like some of the aspects, they weren't even done quite as well as Stardew Valley. For example, the combat in Coral Island, I don't know, the combat, it just seems very, very dumbed down, very simplistic, and there wasn't really that much variety. Whereas in Stardew Valley, where you kind of had to use a little bit of strategy to make it through the dungeons, in Coral Island, the mining aspect of it, it never really got really addictive to me. I kind of just did it because I had to do it. So all in all, what did I think of the gameplay in Coral Island? The gameplay in Coral Island is actually the same way I feel about almost all of the other sections of Coral Island, and that is that it's a bit of a mixed bag. Now, there are certain things that I absolutely loved. I loved diving, I loved going down and cleaning out the ocean, and yeah, there were definitely certain times where I was definitely having a lot of fun exploring Coral Island, upgrading my weapons, upgrading my tools, and doing that kind of thing. You know, this game definitely has that sense of accomplishment when you complete certain parts and then you unlock a new area or you unlock a new way of doing things. And yeah, that aspect of the game is definitely a lot of fun. However, there are definitely certain parts that I felt weren't as good as they could have been. The combat was very simplistic and not really all that interesting. The mining, it also felt like it wasn't quite as fun as it should have been. I'm not sure if it's because the combat was so simplistic or if it was something else, but yeah, for some reason, when I was doing the mining system in Coral Island, I never really felt like I was having as much fun as I would have when I was playing Stardew Valley. I played lots of games where I absolutely love the mines, Stardew Valley, Fields of Mystria. Like every time I was in the mines, I was just really addicted to that gameplay. But for some reason in Coral Island, I never really got that super fun, exciting feel in the mines. So yeah, I really have to give the gameplay in Coral Island a mixed bag. I really wanted to love the gameplay in Coral Island, but yeah, certain parts of the gameplay I wasn't a huge fan of. Next, let's talk about the social aspect in Coral Island. Now, as I said before, this is also going to be a mixed bag category. Obviously, the good is that these character designs and the artwork is absolutely beautiful. Like maybe some of the best I've seen in any farming sim. There's a very wide range of characters and they all have very interesting looks. They all have different seasonal outfits that they wear. Before I even started playing Coral Island, I was excited to play this game and meet the different characters because yeah, I just thought that their character designs looked so good and there was such attention to detail on some of the characters that I was like, dang, this whole game is probably going to be amazing because they actually pay attention to the little details. However, this game, it definitely has a problem with dialogue. Some of the dialogue is really good and some of the storylines are interesting. However, for all of the interesting dialogue that this game has, it also has a lot of boring dialogue. I'm not quite sure why. I think it might be because there are so many characters in Coral Island. It's really hard to get to know all of them, and it's really hard to become friends with a lot of them. This game has the typical thing where there's going to be festivals and you have the opportunity to talk to everybody in the town. Now, in some farming sims, maybe you're only going to be talking to maybe between 10 and 20 people, but when you have as many characters as there are in Coral Island, it gets to be really tedious. Also, when I'm talking to different people, I don't really have that very strong sense of all of these people have different personalities. I felt like there was a lot of characters where I talked to them quite a bit, but I still didn't really have any sense of what their personality was supposed to be like. When I started playing the game, I tried to talk to everybody that I could every single day, but I very quickly realized that number one, that was boring, and number two, it was too time consuming because there's so many people in the town. So for me, the more I played the game, the less I talked to the villagers, and yeah, I only talked to the few marriage candidates that I wanted to get to know better. The characters that I got to know better, I did like their backstories and their dialogue for the most part. And I do think that the dating in this game, it's done pretty well. One of my favorite aspects is the hangout aspect. Once you get someone to 3 hearts, you can start to hang out with them and you can go to a whole bunch of different places and then you're going to see a few scenes where the two of you hang out. Then once you get their heart level high enough, you can also start to take them on romantic dates. And yeah, it's really fun to see your character get closer and closer to whichever marriage candidate you're dating. So for me personally, I think that the dating aspect of this game is really well done. I love the fact that you can actually like really go on dates with the marriage candidates. So the final verdict of Coral Island's social aspect is, again, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I think in other games where there's a smaller cast, you really get close to all of the characters, and all of the characters, they have a really strong sense of personality. But in Coral Island, yeah, I only got close to a few different characters because I was really uninterested in the vast majority of the cast. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but I think the dialogue, it moves too slowly. In most farming games, when I unlock a cutscene with a villager or anyone, I get really excited because I get to see a new scene and get to know them better. And in much the same way, whereas I feel like there's a huge cast, but they're not really that deep, that's also kind of how a lot of the cutscenes are as well. Some of the cutscenes, I would watch them and then they would end, and I would think, okay, what was even the point of seeing that cutscene? So yeah, the dialogue in this game is kind of all over the place. Some of it is, in my opinion, a little bit on the boring side, and some of it is really cool and interesting. So to sum it up, I think this game has amazing artwork and great character design, and the dating aspect is a lot of fun, and I love the hangout feature, but the dialogue is kind of all over the place, and it's really hard to get a sense of everyone's personality. So I also have to say that the social aspect of Coral Island is a bit of a mixed bag. Now, before I get into my final verdict, I definitely also have to talk about one other slight problem with the game, and that is that there are definitely bugs in this game. And no, I'm not talking about the bugs that you catch. I'm talking about glitches and things that are going to make your heart skip a beat. The one thing that scared me the most is there was one day when I just finished the day, hopped into bed, and saved it, and the game got stuck on the save screen. I waited about 2 minutes before I finally decided, oh no, this is definitely not ever going to save and let me go to the next day, so I'm going to have to force quit. I was really worried about my file being corrupted or something like that, but luckily I only lost 1 day of progress. There are also a bunch of other smaller minor bugs, like graphical glitches and also some weird dialogue glitches. I've never seen this kind of bug before, so on the one hand it was kind of interesting, but yeah, it also kind of took me out of the game a little bit. So yeah, probably if you play Coral Island, you're going to run into a bug or two. At the end of the day, is Coral Island complete, and is it worth your time? Well, for that first question, is it complete? I would have to say that I feel like Coral Island is mostly complete, probably like 97% complete. There is a ton of content, all the base game is there, and all of the storylines, they do have an ending. However, there is occasionally something that will happen, and it makes me think that the game isn't really complete. For example, that spooky festival, I was really disappointed that I go to this Halloween festival and everyone's talking about their costumes, but yeah, they're just wearing their normal clothes. Yeah, so I don't really know why they did that. I think they should have just like had them say different dialogue in the interim before they add that feature, because as it is, it just feels like there's this really weird disconnect. Yeah, it really took me out of the festival. And it's really disappointing for me, especially because I'm making this video in October and it's Halloween. So yeah, I was really disappointed when I got to that part of the game. So yeah, if you don't want that type of disappointment of feeling that the game's not complete and you really want to feel like you're playing Coral Island and it's complete, then I still probably would recommend to wait for 1.2. For most of the rest of us though, I do feel like 1.1 is practically complete, and it's really complete enough to play. Now, as to that second question, do I think that Coral Island is worth your time? Well, if I had to rate this game out of 10, I probably would still give it an 8 out of 10. And I say that because I think it's a really good game. Maybe I could even say great, but I definitely wouldn't say that it's a perfect game. And it's definitely not quite up there, in my opinion, in that top tier of farming sims. That being said, I did have a lot of fun playing Coral Island, and I definitely think that there are some things that Coral Island does that are really unique and you can't find anywhere else. So at the end of the day, I still would say that Coral Island is a really fun game that is worth playing. Please let me know in the comments below, have you played Coral Island? What are your thoughts on it? And if you hadn't, did this review sway you one way or the other? Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.